Hi and welcome to our quick 5-minute video on understanding weight loss. So losing weight can be one of the hardest things you can do, but could also be one of the most rewarding things you can do too. And to be able to lose weight, you really need to understand how the body works so that not only can you lose weight, but keep it off. See, what happens is the body naturally burns carbohydrates before it burns fat. This means the primary source of energy that the body will constantly want to use is our carbohydrates. And to be able to start burning fat, we need to manipulate how our metabolism works to be able to start to burn fat. The other thing is that fat is very calorie dense, and for your body to lose 1 kilo of fat means you need to burn an extra 9,000 calories for you to be able to lose that kilo of fat. So what we want to do in this short presentation is talk about how the body actually burns fat and how you can manipulate your metabolism so that you can actually burn fat and reduce the weight that you're wanting to lose for the last time and not put it back on. The body creates energy through something called the Krebs cycle. And the 4 types of fuel that drive this are your carbohydrates, your fats, your protein, and alcohol. Now, the preferred energy sources the body uses are your carbohydrates and your fats and your proteins. So what happens is for this cycle to work, the body will take carbohydrates in as a fuel source, and this will then drive these chemical equations to work. If there aren't enough carbohydrates in the body because of the way your nutrition is shaped, then the body will start to use fat as an alternative fuel source, and this exact same process will run by using fat rather than using carbohydrates. So it is possible by manipulating your nutritional program to be able to stop using carbohydrates as your main fuel source and to actually cause the body to start burning your fat stores. Now, typically, the average diet is made up of about 70% carbohydrates, usually 10 to 20% protein, and then fat. Now, these high levels of carbohydrates in our diet actually stop the body from burning fat and from the body getting into the stores of fat to produce energy. So when the body actually has too many carbohydrates in the diet, when the diet has a high level of carbohydrates, as seen in the average diet, what will happen is the body will store fat rather than use fat as an energy source. And this is what we need to do to help you lose weight, is we need to actually change this around so you're not actually making up your diet of 70% carbohydrates. Now, it's not about a low carbohydrate and a high fat diet. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually teach you how you can eat a heap of carbs but still has fat as your primary energy source. How do we do that? Well, to start off with, not all carbohydrates are created equal. But in the body, all carbohydrates become glucose and sugar. So there are 2 things that we need to look at when we're looking at carbohydrates and shaping your nutrition. The first of these is known as calorie density. Now, what calorie density is calorie density is the amount of calories that are in food. There are foods like bread, for example, where in 100 grams of bread you'll have 264 calories. Where in 100 grams of spinach you only have 23 calories, most of which of these are made up of carbohydrates. When you actually are looking to want to lose weight, what you want to do is you want to actually impact the calorie density. By eating foods that have a very low calorie density, that is, they have a low number of calories in comparison to the serving, what happens is the body can't get a lot of energy out of this food. And so therefore the body then has to change its energy source from carbohydrates across to fat. So if you have a diet that's full of salads and leafy greens and those sorts of vegetables, what you'll find is the body can't get enough energy out of those types of carbohydrates to function. And therefore the body then needs to change its primary energy source across to fat and your fat stores for you to be able to generate enough energy to actually just function on a day-to-day basis. So calorie density is really important, and through shaping the types of calorie density foods that you eat, you will actually shape what sort of energy your body runs on. Now, the second aspect of carbohydrates we need to look at is known as glycemic index. And a lot of people understand glycemic index, but we're just going to cover off it quickly. When carbohydrates are absorbed into the body, it releases glucose into your blood, and hence it creates what we call a blood glucose level. When a food releases carbohydrates or glucose into the blood very, very quickly and at a high level, this creates what we call a high glycemic index food. Basically, this food increases the blood glucose levels very, very quickly, giving fast release energy and a short burst of energy. Low glycemic index foods are where the blood glucose is released slowly from the food and is slowly released into the blood. And this gives us sustained energy over a longer period of time. Now, high glycemic index foods release glucose quickly. When this releasing glucose is too quick, however, what happens is the body will then say, oh my God, there's too much blood glucose. Our blood glucose levels are too high. There's too much glucose in our blood. Therefore, we need to pull this down. So the body releases a hormone from the pancreas known as insulin. This actually binds the blood glucose and removes the glucose out of the blood, reducing the blood glucose levels. Now, when you have a low glycemic index food, what happens is the blood glucose is released very slowly into the blood. This slow release of glucose actually doesn't cause the alarm bells to go off, so therefore insulin is not secreted into the body, and therefore this stays in the blood glucose longer, giving slow release prolonged energy. The reason why we don't want to have the high GI foods is because when the body has the high GI foods and it releases the glucose quickly, causing the blood glucose levels to go up, and then the body releases the insulin will then store fat. Now, over a prolonged period of time, 10, 20, 30 years of eating high glycemic index foods will actually then lead to the pancreas becoming fatigued and this then not functioning properly, or your body developing what's called insulin insensitivity, where that means the body can't read how much insulin has been released, leading to either syndrome X, prediabetes, or type 2 diabetes. So the best way to prevent type 2 diabetes and to actually cause your body to burn fat is to replace those higher glycemic index foods with low glycemic index foods. And this is what our program does. When we actually shape your diet to actually remove these higher GI foods out of your diet and we replace them with the lower GI foods such as your vegetables and certain fruits, what happens is your body then needs to start burning fat for its primary energy source rather than burning carbohydrates. The second thing that happens when we manipulate our nutrition this way is the body is no longer actually needing to secrete insulin to reduce our blood glucose levels, because our blood glucose levels don't get impacted by these sorts of foods. This means that the pancreas isn't constantly secreting insulin and you're less likely to develop type 2 diabetes. So by changing and manipulating your diet this way to have these lower GI foods with a very low calorie density, what happens is you force your body into what is called a ketogenic state. And a ketogenic state is the state where your body is burning fat as its primary fuel source rather than carbohydrates. And this is where all the fads sit about eating a ketogenic diet. What a ketogenic diet does is causes your body to start to burn fat, and when it burns fat, it reduces ketones. Now, at Lifestyle Essentials, we're not interested in putting you on a high fat, high protein, low carbohydrate diet. We are interested in you eating healthy, low GI, low carbohydrate dense foods, which will still make up a good 70 to 80% of your diet. This ensures you're getting enough vitamins and minerals, you're getting enough fiber, and your body functions correctly. But because we've manipulated the diet to have the low GI foods, and because we've manipulated the diet to have the low calorie dense foods, the body has no choice but to start burning fat as its primary energy source. Now, if you'd like to find out more about our weight loss program and what we offer in our ketogenic weight loss programs, just click on the link below to inquire about how you can get a free consultation over the phone where we can talk to you about how we can help you not only manipulate your diet to be fitter and healthier, prevent type 2 diabetes, but also change over your primary energy source so that you burn fat and actually understand what you can eat and how you can eat so that you understand where you stop burning fat, so that we can develop a blueprint of weight loss for you. We'll look forward to talking to you soon. Click on the button below to book your 15-minute consultation so we can have a chat to you about how we can help you get the results you want and help you lose weight for the last time. Thank you.